and I'm back, and I thought I would make a quick video about Season 6, Episode 6. In particular, the part I want to focus on, there's so many great parts. I loved this season, this episode. There's so many great parts, but I want to focus on the big one at the beginning where Margery has obviously made a deal with the Sept to bring Tommen into the church. And I'm fairly sure that everybody's certain this is an expedient measure in order to get herself out of trouble. Maybe Loras, I'm not sure that she believes Loras can be saved, because in the last episode, she basically saw him sniveling and crying on the floor and told him to stop acting like a woman. And she took on the aspect of the men, the strong aspect, and said, I have a plan, right? She's got a plan, and she had a plan. And she's using her womanly wiles on the Sept. Maybe he might be onto her, but two users know how to make a pact as well, to use each other, and to some good or bad. So in this scene, the parts of the scene that really struck me the most, besides Jaime riding up the stairs on the white horse, was when Tommen came out of the church, and his men now, instead of the King's Guard insignia on there, now has the 7-pointed star. And then he came out and he said the church and state are now one. And then he took Margery's hand and he raised it, and the whole crowd went crazy. Now this actually is something that's happened in history before, and it really told me about what was likely to happen. And I think a lot of people have already predicted some of the outcomes that we should expect. Number one, we expect there will be a Clegane Bowl. And Jaime's going to be away. He will have no input into this. He'll be in Blackwater. And I think we can be fairly certain the Mountain is going to lose. And the Mountain will lose, and then Cersei will refuse to come out and take her punishment, because she's above that. And then there's going to be the big riot. So, and then everybody's talking about the potential for fire. Bran had this vision of wildfire, right? Bran had this vision of wildfire where it's all at inside the Red Keep. And either, we expect that the crowd will go crazy and set stuff on fire, or Cersei will order that King's Landing be burned down. Just set it all on fire. Burn them all. Burn them all. Like King Aerys II in the book. He was the Mad King. That's why Jaime killed him. You saw that scene that Bran remembered what happened. So then I believe everybody's talking about who's the Volanqar. Who is little brother that's going to kill Cersei? Put his hands around her neck and strangle her. If this goes, my first thought is it's going to be Tommen. Tommen is the little brother. He's like the third of her children. He's the littlest brother. And he will see all his world going straight to hell, the 7 hells. And he will put his hands around her neck and kill her. Now, and then I think what will happen afterwards is that Tommen dies. And I believe that Tommen will die by falling to his death. Because, number one, Bran kept seeing that over and over again. Bran saw himself falling. And number two, because Jaime Lannister pushed him out. And all their sins come back to haunt them. Think about this. All their sins come back to haunt them. Whatever things they did before comes back to be the thing that destroys them. Even if their sin is an overabundance of virtue. Like Ned Stark. So he was so honorable. And then guess what? He got his head cut off for being too damn honorable. So I believe Tommen will fall to his death. And it's also presaged not by just Bran seeing that, but if you read the history, you can go over to Civilization X. Rawrist also has a great little series about the different things that happened in the past. And one of the things that happened in the past was during the Dance of the Dragons, more than one of the folks ended up falling to their deaths, and one of them was Rhaenys son, he, you know, the dragon pit was on fire, and he was going to go out and save them, and so he jumped on his mother's dragon, but the dragon wouldn't accept him, and she twisted and turned and threw him off, and he fell to his death in King's Landing. So I think that we can be fairly certain that Tommen, this is Tommen's fate. He's going to fall to his death. Now there is another option here that I see as the alternate, and it's hard to tell because George, he wrote it, and the people are writing the scripts. So the potential is that during this gigantic riot or whatever, we're going to see a flashback to King's Landing when Stannis Baratheon was invading, and he was trying to take the Red Keep, and Tyrion was out there fighting him. Cersei was in the throne room with Tommen, and she had a vial of poison, and she was getting ready to poison, let Tommen, because better to die that way than to whatever terrible thing would happen when they came in. Because guess what the Lannisters had done to the Targaryens is they had slaughtered everybody, women, children, blah blah, because you can't let the last people live, no matter, because they might be an heir that comes back and tries to take the throne. So she's fairly certain that was going to happen, because Cersei is Tywin Lannister. Cersei is the female version of Tywin Lannister. That's her aspect. And so maybe she poisons Tommen or gets him to take poison, and then Jaime comes back just in the nick of time when she's, you know, ready either to blow things all to hell or whatever, and sees her with their son having killed, and then he just strangles the crap out of her as the little brother. But I think my first prediction is more true than not. Then I think that we are going to see maybe Bloody Queen Margery. Now, I'm not sure if Bloody Queen Margery happens before Tommen dies or after, and there's no other heir, and she's like the only person with any, whatever, she's been crowned queen. Even if she's not by blood, she's the only, you know, legitimate potential person that has any rulership, and she's got this relationship with the church. So I see the church supporting her. I see the sept supporting her as the queen. And then she is going to purge, or, you know, or is going to, I don't want to say purge, but purify the faith by blood and by fire. Because she's going to be Bloody Queen Margery. And yeah, you have to know history to know a little bit about what's going to come next, because Bloody Queen Margery, she basically is the catalyst for changing the church back from being one with the state or above the state or equal to the state in power. And through her actions, people are so horrified that the church, the faith, goes back to being a subordinate, or, you know, almost equal, but a subordinate to the government of the country. So there's my predictions. You're going to see Bloody Queen Margery. You're going to see Tommen, I believe, fly and not do a good job of it. And then what will happen to Jaime Lannister? We'll talk about that later. I do want to, you'll catch my next video. I'm going to talk about the history, the real history that tells us what's going on here and why this will happen. And I hope you'll enjoy that as well. I know most folks just want to hear all the predictions and what happened and what they think will happen. But I really want to talk about the history that tells us why we know these things are going to happen in Westeros. So have a good one. I'll get back to you.